military should there be violence against protesters? Have you made that clear to them? And then secondly, you talk about coordinating with other countries, but are you worried that Egypt, which is a neighbor, is playing a different game there?
Well, when it comes to what we have made clear, we have made very clear, including in the topper I read just a moment ago, that military officials should immediately release all detained political actors. They should fully restore the civilian-led transitional government. They should refrain from any violence against protesters, including the use of live ammunition. We will, and we already have, including with the pause and the $700 million of assistance, hold accountable those who are responsible, including those who may be responsible for violence against peaceful protesters. We're not going to preview policy actions that we might take. Again, it's very early hours. We are watching very closely to see how the military responds, to do everything we can to see to it that the military respects the right of peaceful assembly, and ultimately to see to it that the military respects the aspirations of the Sudanese people to restore the country's path to democracy. So again, we have made very clear where we stand. Our allies, including the UN, including several of our European allies, including the Arab League, the AU, and others, have made very clear where they stand. And we stand together on this. And together we've sent a very clear message to the military about what they should and what they should not do. Kylie.
Just to be clear, on the $700 million economic assistance that's paused, in order to get that pause lifted, does the country need to restore a civilian-led government, or is there parts that could be lifted if they take certain actions? What does that look like?
Well, again, I'm not going to negotiate with the military from the podium. We have made very clear what should happen, what needs to happen. Our allies and partners have made very clear what should happen and what needs to happen. The release of all those detained, the political actors who have been detained, the full restoration of civilian-led transitional government, and refraining from any violence against those who are exercising the right to peaceful assembly, a right that is as valid in Khartoum as it is anywhere else in the world.
How long is the U.S. willing to wait?
Again, we are watching very closely. It is very early hours, but again, the United States will not hesitate to hold accountable those who are engaged in violence, those who are responsible, who may be responsible for derailing Sudan's path to democracy. But
Are sanctions on the table?
I would say
Could they come back as quickly as they were
all
lifted?
measures to hold accountable, if appropriate, those responsible for what we've seen and for anything that we may see that is an affront to the rights, to the aspirations of the Sudanese people. We will consider all appropriate measures to respond to that.
Well, wouldn't it be considered appropriate to reimpose some of these sanctions right away, given that they are violating the spirit of the Juba Accords?
Rosalind, it is very early hours. This happened overnight. We are evaluating the situation on the ground. We are watching very closely. We are communicating and coordinating very closely with our allies and with our partners around the world. So I don't want to get ahead of where we are. But suffice to say that we are willing to resort to any and all appropriate measures to hold accountable those who may be attempting to derail the will, the aspirations of the Sudanese people, and those who may be responsible for violence that we may yet see.